is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
It is Wednesday, the 5th of March, 2024. Wednesday, the 6th of March, 2024. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. This is News to 6 a.m. on News Power Digital. The Education Ministry has condemned the disruption of students' education caused by a threat sent via email to primary schools in the Southeastern District. 49 schools were said to have been affected. The ministry explained that as per established safety protocols, students and administrators were removed to muster points. The Trinidad and Tobago Police Service were notified, and sweeps of the identified schools within the Southeastern District have begun. Once schools are cleared for resumption of normal school operations, and principals will be advised and will advise parents. Based on the projections of the TTPS, most, if not all, affected schools should be able to resume operations by today, Wednesday, 6 March 2024. The police cyber response team is investigating the source of the bomb threats issued from the Ministry of Education's official email, which resulted in the evacuation of thousands of students, principals, and administrators from 49 schools in the Southeastern Education District yesterday, Tuesday. Meanwhile, President of the Trinidad and Tobago Unified Teachers Association, Tutor Martin Lumpkin, has criticized the ministry's handling of the incident, saying students and staff were left out in the sun while they waited for instructions. In a circulated voice note yesterday, Lumpkin accused the Ministry of Education of restricting principals from exercising discretionary authority. The initial email warned that people should stay away from schools from March 5th and 6th, noting that at midday, a device would have been set off. Lumpkin said, quote, "We know the TTPS and fire services cannot visit all schools in the district because of the geographical locations of schools. Principals were informed they were not allowed to dismiss schools and have persons await instructions by the Education Ministry." The Prime Minister maintained his government did not act irresponsibly when it took the decision to send Strategic Services Agency Director on administrative leave and appoint TNT Ambassador to Washington, D.C., retired General Anthony Philip Spencer, as acting director of the SSA to review the agency's operations. Dr. Raleigh made a statement at a conversation with the Prime Minister event at Skiffle Bunch Panyard, Coffee Street in San Fernando last night. Dr. Raleigh said, "I know many of you don't know why. I couldn't tell you everything. We know we've had to act on everything we know." The Prime Minister said this was another instance of government putting the public interest first, sticking to our oath of office without fear of favor, malice, or ill will, and taking decisions that had to be taken. A statement on Sunday from the Office of the Prime Minister said, "The National Security Council has recommended to the Cabinet that the head of the SSA be placed immediately on leave and new leadership and management be installed with dispatch." The OPM said Philip Spencer is initiating an extensive review and audit of all personnel, equipment, and processes within the SSA. And the Prime Minister is criticizing the UNC for failing to meet with government to discuss anti-crime measures while finding time to meet with St. Lucian opposition leader Alan Chastity, a man Dr. Raleigh called the tropical Trump. Speaking last evening with members of the public at the Conversations event in San Fernando, Dr. Raleigh stated, quote, "Our country has a serious crime problem. It makes you wonder who produced all these murderers. All of us are traumatized, harassed, and threatened by the misbehavior of a small number of people." Dr. Raleigh also said this country's president requested that both government and opposition find common ground to combat this country's crime scourge. On Monday, a local recording artist appeared before the North High Court as he was arrested and charged under the Anti-Gang Act of 2021. Joseph Oliveri, widely known as Med Boss, was charged with 1, being a gang member contrary to Section 5(1)(b), 2, professing to being a gang member contrary to Section 5(1)(d). Med Boss was granted $40,000 bail with a surety when he appeared before Master Margaret Sukraj Goswami. The charges follow extensive investigations conducted by the Special Investigation Unit Gang Enforcement Team, focusing primarily on videos posted on social media platforms promoting gang violence and gang culture. The accused is due to reappear in court on March 15, 2024. Meanwhile, Commissioner of Police Early Harewood Christopher stated, quote, "This case underscores our unwavering commitment to address and combat the promotion of gang-related activities, particularly through influential figures in the entertainment industry. The lure of gangs is pervasive as gang culture is portrayed as glamorous and the in thing." She said the gang life is a direct pathway to poverty, prison, and an early grave, as young men are mere pawns who are easily replaced. Almost 1 month since the Gulfstream barge ran aground off the coast of Cove spewing bunker fuel, officials have announced that the leaking has stopped. The vessel was first spotted on February 7th after it separated from its tug, later identified as the Solo Creed, before currently extensive salvage and containment efforts are in full swing, with multiple vessels and organizations from local and international agencies working collaboratively to control the situation. While the salvage operations are ongoing, the Tobago Emergency Management Agency TEMA's Director Alan Stewart is hopeful the strategy to contain and remove the Gulfstream barge will be effective. Meanwhile, $15 million has been set up to take care of oil spill cleanup efforts in Tobago. This revealed by Tobago House of Assembly Chief Secretary Fanny Augustine. He made the revelation at a news briefing held earlier this week. Augustine assured people affected will be compensated. In news of the region, soldiers have been deployed to defend the airport of the Haitian capital Port-au-Prince from assault by armed gangs. The gangs aim to prevent the return of Haitian Prime Minister Ariel Henry, who is believed to be abroad. Violence has spiraled in his absence, with the gangs demanding he resign. And finally, Meta says it's resolved a technical issue which caused Facebook Messenger and Instagram to go down on Monday. Hundreds of thousands of users worldwide were unable to access them for around 2 hours on Tuesday. People trying to log on to the websites and apps were finding error messages and were unable to refresh their feeds as normal. Meta has apologized to those who had been affected, saying it's been resolved and quickly as it could. And that is news to 6 a.m. right here on News Power Digital. We'll have major news coming your way at 7 a.m. Good morning.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
To the Power Breakfast Show on Power 102 Digital. Thank you so much for joining us. It is 9 minutes after the hour of 6 o'clock on this the 6th day of March. Thank you so much for joining us. Fullcasting this morning. You just heard from Paul Richards. We call him Super Paul around here. We'll hear from Wendell Stephen. He'll join us in a sec. We have Richard Ragoobarsingh. We got Ruben. We've got Shane and myself, Steve Khan. All right. Let's get straight into it, see what's happening on the highways and the byways. Beginning to build, nothing really to tell you about at this time. 24 degrees at Piarco, which is quite busy this morning, and 26 degrees at Crown Point in Tobago. All right, before I say hellos to all those that sent us messages, let me say good morning, good out to Super Paul. Super Paul.
Good morning, Steve. Good morning, everyone. Good Wednesday morning to you. How's my microphone sounding this morning?
It sounds the same. Let me hear it again. I wasn't really paying attention.
I'm testing a new microphone, which means it's not sounding badly, which is a good thing.
It's not sounding. It's sounding. You have a little more oomph to your voice. Put it that way.
A little more resonance.
Yes. So good morning to you. It is Wednesday, Hump Day. The weekend is in sight. Let's use send us hellos first thing this morning via YouTube and Facebook. We'll say good morning to Oliver Man Warren, God Silly, Wayne B. in Covenant, Georgia, Boy Bedesi, Wendy and James, DJ Ray in Tampa, Gloria Gray, Marcia Rock in Orlando, Isasha out in London, Josie Richardson, Ray out in West Palm Beach, Florida, Nikita Pierre, morning to you. Out in Brazil Village. John Keto, good morning. Yeah. Paula Richards. Hey, there's a Paula Richards there, Paul. Carol Guevara. Trinidad Margot out in Port St. Lucie, Florida. Yen Acham, good morning. Out in Boston, morning to you, Yen. Showin Ke, good morning. On WhatsApp, we have a few messages on WhatsApp. Whoa, we have a lot of messages out in. So, Alistair Hart, good morning to you. I think that's Alistair Hart. Yeah, it is. Alistair Hart. Michael in London, good morning. Trev in Arima, good morning to you as well. GNC Auto Security, always locked on every morning. Hope all is well. Captain Ron, good morning to you. Oh, that was yesterday. Maybe Captain Ron is sleeping. Yeah. All right. Good morning to Wendell, Stephen. How you doing?
Good morning, Steve. Good morning, Paul. Morning, Richard. Morning, Trinidad and Tobago. And good morning, listeners and viewers all over the globe.
How are
Happy
you, buddy?
birthday greetings to Debbie Camille, Leslie Ann Gonzalez, Molly Kodai, and Verna St. Rose Graves. Happy birthday.
Auntie Verna birthday. Happy birthday,
Is
Auntie Verna.
Auntie birthday today?
Yep, today is her birthday. All right.
I have two videos to share.
Sorry?
I have two videos to share. One will put a smile on your face, and one will make you very sad. So I'm going to start the day with give people a smile this morning because I saw this video yesterday and I just could not stop laughing. I looked at this video about 40 times because I think it is so funny. Animals make the funniest videos, I find. So
They do, you know.
Let me tell you. Some of us may be able to relate to this video.
Oh.
I haven't seen that one.
Good morning, Zeno.
And that's happening at every double palm this morning.
I didn't know about that.
Is that so?
Hilarious, though. That's hilarious.
Yeah, it's very funny. The things you get, and there's so much entertainment on TikTok. You don't have to go anywhere, and you can just stay on TikTok and you get entertained.
Which a lot of people do.
Yep.
Yeah. Good morning, CJ in New York. Locked on. So, guys, I've been battling. Remember talking to you about it, Paul. I thought it was food poisoning that I got over the weekend. Really mashed me up. But yesterday was absolutely horrible. And I actually had a doctor friend that he actually just called to see how I was doing. And I told him, man, this thing is just horrible. So he said, I'm in the area. I'll pass by and I'll check you. So that's all right, no problem. It's like after 8 last night.
Getting free visit and thing, what?
But apparently, and the pharmacist, when I went to get meds, said the same thing. There's a horrible stomach bug that's going around. Horrible. And a lot of people are getting it. Stomach cramps, the diarrhea. And a lot of people are mistaking it for food poisoning, but it's not. And I said, well, I had a Coke yesterday. She said, nope, no sugary drinks. Toast, bananas, apples. And then I got some meds that I have to take. So it's not food poisoning. It's a terrible stomach bug that's going on. Do not take any sugary drinks. That irritates it more. So this is supposed to get rid of the bad bacteria.
I actually got a message from a friend along those same lines yesterday. In terms of their stomach and gets all of a sudden.
Yeah, it was all of a sudden.
Yeah.
It was all of a sudden. So, but boy, yesterday was bad. This morning I'm feeling a bit weak, but I'll get through it. I have some stuff to do here. So after that, I'll just cadoot and get some rest.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you get that stomach bug, coconut water, bananas, apples, toast, and of course, no sugary drinks.
Bananas.
Yeah, bananas is good for man. Well, boy,
I'm not so
talk
sure
about
that.
bananas. I brought a whole bunch with me this morning.
Okay. Bananas good for a stomach bug. I ain't so sure about that
Yeah,
one. Huh?
food poison and stuff. Yeah, toast and bananas and so on and apples. Yeah. I was actually doing a Google search yesterday. What should I eat? Because I didn't know what to eat for lunch
Steve
yesterday.
Khan didn't know what to eat. Okay.
That would upset my stomach. No greasy foods, no spice. And he said,
You know, this country have really idle people.
idle?
But I thought it was idle people, but I realized it's people who are hell-bent on disrupting this country for whatever personal agendas they're on.
The board.
Yeah, I think people just get kicks too now.
No, nobody sends an email about a bomb threat to school children or schools
Oh, that happened again?
unless they're trying to destabilize the country and cause mayhem. Nobody just does that.
That
Okay?
happened again?
Yesterday, 49 schools were affected in the Southeastern Education District.
Ooh, well, I didn't look at the news last night.
Students
So,
and Martin Lumpkin, I mean, you're doing a good job as tutor president. But you're upset because the ministry has a particular protocol to follow. You're not in charge, though. If the ministry says go to the muster points and wait, you vex because you're out in the sun? It's an exigent circumstance. It's an emergency. It's a safety protocol.
well, yeah, for any bomb threat anyway.
You know, sometimes people open their mouth and just upset me, you know. There is a protocol established. Don't grab no bag, don't grab no computer. Just leave the compound and go to the muster point.
That's it.
Yeah.
He said the ministry is telling the teachers, go to the muster point and await further instructions. Took away the discretion from the principals. You know, if anything happened, they ain't blaming the principal.
No.
Mr. Lumpkin, you know, if anything happened, God forbid it was a valid threat, you know, the blame is not going to go to you or the principals of the schools.
No.
Where do you think they're going to go?
And they don't even go. They don't even say the ministry. They just say the minister, Nan Gadsby Dolly and Keith Rowley. That's the names that they go call.
So just follow instructions and cooperate. Or they have to be the huts and without shelter in some cases. Yes, it's an emergency. Where on air conditioning unit? It is an emergency.
Has he been observing the bombings in other parts of the world? People in Hudson too, you know?
Other part, there is a protocol involved in any organization where there's something called a bomb threat or a fire alarm. Leave immediately and proceed to the muster point. So there can be a head count, so you know you have everybody and nobody's left behind. And await further instruction. That is standard operating procedure.
But I didn't hear Mr. Lumpkin, so I mean, but if he said that, it'll have to be, it has to be, well, everybody playing politics these days, yes?
I don't need to think politics. I just think sometimes you just need
what
to.
What are you doing then?
Some things don't need to be. You don't need to comment on everything. You don't need to have a contradictory position on everything. Just follow instructions and wait. It's a safety issue.
He's consistent with most union heads. Let's just put it this way.
No, I disagree. To me, he has been quite reasonable. Certainly more reasonable anyway.
And the last lady, yeah, I remember her. I swear she was going to contest her seat.
Don't say that. Don't say that. Don't say that.
I can't even remember her name as we speak.
So the Prime Minister continued his conversations. Dr. Rowley is here.
I was too tired to even to follow that last night.
Conversations with the Prime Minister last evening in San Fernando at the Skiffle Bunch Pan Theatre in San Fernando. where, of course, he raised several different points, you know. He looked very relaxed. I find he relaxed since he came back from Guyana. He ain't looking hyper at all. But the House is sitting today, and I'm sure the opposition is going to grill him on that SSA situation, which he spoke about last night. He said last night, among many things, that the government did not act irresponsibly, and based on information that came to them from the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, they had to act expeditiously to remove the now on administrative leave head Major Roger Best and install now former ambassador to Washington, D.C., retired Brigadier General Anthony Philip Spencer, to perform an immediate audit of people, personnel, equipment, and processes at the SSA. I see the newspapers are reporting more information now, questioning whether or not there were appropriate hirings within the agency. Some are suggesting
something about a church.
Something about a church.
What is that about? Let me see. Somebody sent that to me yesterday. Right. It was a Mark Basant story. Suspicious church hirings.
Yeah. Well, among other things. Among the Prime Minister is not going to make a point of saying personnel, equipment, and processes just like that. Okay? So he said,
Mr. Best in charge of a church or something?
6:22. So that time already.
Yeah. Water restrictions are in place. I should let you all know that.
I don't know Mr. Best at all. And I was told that there was a picture of him in the papers yesterday. I'm yet to see.
Yeah, he's all over the papers. Mr. Best is a retired military man.
Yeah, I don't know him at all.
Well, I know him from when he was appointed, because the SSA is a significant agency. He says it was reported in one of the newspapers yesterday that he says he doesn't understand what's going on, and he's leaving it. Everything is in God's hands.
Yeah. Jerusalem Bride Church. That's the name of the church?
I hope it's God hired them people, allegedly.
Jerusalem Bride? I've never heard of that church.
If you know who one of the congregation is,
all right. Look at the story. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
So I know the House of Representatives sits later on today, and today is supposed to be Prime Minister's questions. So the opposition, through Dr. Wendell has already indicated he intends to pepper the Prime Minister on this issue. And I think the country deserves answers. I know the Prime Minister will more than likely say, being presumptuous myself, that there is an ongoing investigation and he does not want to compromise the investigation. But we'll see how much more information we get this afternoon when the House sits at 1:30. The Prime Minister also spoke last night about the crime talks. He chastised the opposition for not coming to the crime talks, saying that the president has called for the government and the opposition to come together and find common ground to combat the country's crime scourge. He said Mrs. Pasabi-Sessa has not found time to, and I'm paraphrasing here, name a team, although he has already, and but she is finding time to sit and talk crime with the opposition leader of St. Lucia, who Dr. Rowley described
how he described him. That's Alan Chastanet. How we describe him? You laughing?
Dr. Rowley described St. Lucia's opposition leader as the tropical Trump.
Oh.
He said, quote, while the opposition cannot find time for the national crisis, they find time to have a meeting with Chastity, as if St. Lucia, who has Chastity in their government to run their country, threw him out of office unceremoniously, but he in Trinidad trying to tell us how to run Trinidad. No thanks, tropical Trump. Of course, Mr. Chastity was in the UNC's panel of contributors on Monday. It was a good laugh this morning, yes. Mr. Chastity described Mrs. Prasad-Biswas as a visionary, and they are seeking to put together a regional caucus of opposition leaders. Interesting idea. The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Of course. Listen, we are going to get so politically desperate in the next few months, eh?
I don't understand the statement.
You understand?
Say it again. Repeat the statement.
You understand topical Trump?
Repeat it slowly. You say we are going to get, as if we haven't gotten already?
No, it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse.
That's not what you said. You said we're going to get.
Yeah, okay.
I don't think anything can be more politically desperate than Philip Alexander. All he said in the last 2 years about both the Prime Minister and Mrs. Prasad-Biswas. Drop out of politics. Try to come back. I ain't know if you get the 350,000 signatures in the petition, and makes an announcement over the weekend saying that the People's Empowerment Party and himself are throwing their support in the upcoming 2025 general election behind Mrs. Prasad-Biswas. Now, I have no problem with anybody deciding they want to support anybody. You know, that is not the issue here, right? Anybody could support anybody. It's a democratic country, and you have freedom of association politically, religious, and otherwise. That is fine, right? But after all you say, after all you say, he is the one who keeps telling Gary Griffith he had to explain your about turn with Mrs. Prasad-Biswas. Not so?
Yes.
And now you spin wrong like a zombie again too?
And he's going to spin wrong again, Paul.
No, Philip. And again, I want to stress, the issue is not he's aligning with any particular person. It's not against Mrs. Prasad-Biswas. It is about a trend of, I guess, people are allowed to change their mind.
Yes. And he's going to change it again.
But after all you say,
as sure as night follows
about
day,
this,
he is going to
about
change
the leader
it
of the
again.
opposition, after all you say,
I'm speaking here.
after your vitriolic condemnation of both Mrs. Prasad-Biswas and Dr. Rowley.
Yes. He is just one of the politically desperate players that are going to surface in the next few months. Watson Duke is quiet for a while. He is going to come again. All of those heads, Fuad Abubakar, they're all going to come again. The politically
Somebody is
desperate
putting
people.
in the chat on Nikolai Edwards. I'm not going to say
He was
that
there at the meeting or what?
at the meeting.
Well,
You know,
I don't
political.
know. The description is a little
much.
insulting. A little much, but was he there at the meeting?
We're going to paraphrase it and say matching up to the Prime Minister last night.
Is that what he was doing?
Well, the phrase used by Ian Andrew Nomalo Lee suggests that he was smooching the goober of Dr. Rowley last night.
All right. Maybe
He
Ian
wasn't in
Andrew
an alliance
Nomalo-
with Gary Griffith for the local government election or something, so?
Yes, he did. He's a political leader, not so?
Of what?
And he has a party?
Of where? How much to get
What's the name of Nikolai's party?
Who's singing in the party? Nadia Batson? Like, oh yeah.
Oh, gosh.
You know, I ain't use this.
He has a party. Fuad has a party. Watson has a party. Farley has a party. All of them have parties.
You know,
Gavin Nicholas has a party.
it's carnival
All of them
season.
have parties. Timothy Hamill-Smith now has a party.
You know, and that's great, Wendell. There's nothing wrong with that.
I ain't saying that either. I ain't saying
There's
something
nothing wrong with that. The more parties, the better the democracy in many cases, if they're serious. I just, you know, the Rest in peace, Bastille Pandy.
Just join the UNC. That's all they need.
Rest
They
in peace,
could do.
Bastille
Join the UNC.
You know, politics
Do you-
really has immorality of its own.
Do you get some sort of stipend once you have a party? Is it that you get
No.
state funding?
No.
Like if you like, all right. So if you start a steel
No.
band,
No.
so 10, you get state funding, right?
Not
Do you
all.
get state funding for a political party?
Must be that I don't know about.
Steve Alvarez, thanks Sherwin Kerr for reminding me. He and all going to raise his head just now.
No, and as again, I want to stress the issue is not the choice to align with anybody. Anybody could form a party. Anybody could align their particular requirements to form a party. You have to be over 18 years old, a national of Trinidad and Tobago, yada, yada, yada. But how do you sit in a room with Mrs. Pasabi Sessa when I could pull up hours of footage of you denigrating, lambasting? You understand?
Yeah. But they don't care. Because guess what? The opposite happens. They lambaste them too.
You know what?
You understand? The UNC has lambasted them. The UNC has said the worst things about Jack Warner and
Mrs.
about Gary
Pasabi
Griffin.
Sessa has a right to sit down and just smile and laugh, in a quiet moment and say, "Lord, watch all of you. Watch all of you. Are you desperate? Come.
Well,
You
if
understand?
the description is what Nikolai is doing there, what are they doing on that side? What are they sniffing?
Could you explain more, please?
You always feel you can set me up, eh?
Well, my mom's slow, eh? So I like full explanations.
For people who get it to read the chat, they will understand what I mean.
Could you explain more clearly, please, Wendell?
People who get it to read what Ian Nuwaluli said, they will understand what I mean. Oh gosh.
They must like the smell of it. Wow. Let me tell you something. I guess when they get the cut tail, that local government election was a wake-up call for plenty of them, you know.
Yeah.
That's what happened, you know. The local government election was a wake-up call for all of them who feel they want to wash their foot and jump in.
Yeah.
But the stakes are a lot higher now. For a general election,
The stakes are always high with a general election. But at the end of the day, and I've said it over and over, I know people like to reference this 140 or 80,000 people the COP got whenever back then, that they still feel is valid now, which I doubt very much. You understand? It's up for grabs. And that they feel that because it belonged to them for some reason. You understand? It always shocks me. I hear people reference that. Good morning, Ragoobarsingh. How was that this
Good
morning?
morning, guys. Good morning.
Hi, Richard.
Church.
How was that this morning?
I was one.
Church.
The response.
The response to church.
The response to which get letting you in as yet log on.
Oh, it was very quick actually.
Very good. All right.
Well,
That's
that's what so apparently the people who got hired said the same thing. Thanks for letting us in so quickly.
Hired where?
Are you talking about SSA?
Hired where? No, and they didn't say that.
If I don't enjoy this morning show with
They
you guys,
didn't say that. They said praise be to God. Now let's get down to it.
so we said the church right here in Arima, Malabar, Arima. You know that?
The Catholic Church?
It's not a Catholic church.
Well, that's
But I
the
know
church
that.
I know.
Okay. So
You don't have all
Good
these
morning.
smaller churches in all of these quaint little buildings, but you don't really know it's a church.
let's congratulate Tobago. The Gulf Stream stopped leaking oil. Finally.
Yes?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Alan Stewart, team ahead, said yesterday it's finally stopped leaking oil. And
He
it's
said
now
it
about
in those little
containment.
words? Did
Sorry?
he say it in those little words?
Just say yes or no.
Anyway,
Just
we
say
do
yes
have.
or no, Paul. It doesn't have to be a retort. It doesn't have to be a comeback. Just say yes or no.
Richard, were you
No,
here in the
Richard.
morning when we interviewed Mr. Stewart?
Good. Yes, Steve, who we have on the phone?
What?
No,
I
I'm going to call
remember.
Kelvin Romain, the acting CEO of Wasa, organized with him, as
Oh.
water restrictions are in place now till the end of
Yeah.
June.
So
Oh,
it's stopped leaking water. And good morning also to the TT Police Service, who seem like they are on a focused mission to finally disrupt gangs in the country, where a local recording artist known as, what's his name?
Oh, yes. So
Med's boss, Joseph Oliveri, was charged with 1, being a gang member contrary to Section 5(1)B, and 2, professing to be a gang member contrary to Section 5(1)D. Now, he was granted $40,000 bail or surety. Now, let me tell you what is interesting about this. And the police are actually clamping down on it, which I think is fantastic. Kudos to the police. Of course, he's innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. He's been charged. Let me just state that. That when you put up thing on social media,
He will come for you.
they will come for you. No longer is it being taken as entertainment by the Trinidad and Tobago Police Force or law enforcement in the country. So when you put up gang signs and you're pledging to be in a gang, whether it be in a video or not, a music video or not, the police are watching. The charges follow extensive investigations conducted by the Special Investigation Unit Gang Enforcement Team. They just shorten their name. Focusing primarily on videos posted on social media platforms promoting gang violence and gang culture.
Yeah.
You understand? Because we always ask the question. We've asked the question. But these people with guns in car, on hood, in party, in blocko, you understand? Brandishing weapons, all kind of high-powered weapons, pistols, etc. Normal as if it's a music video. Well,
And
no.
some music videos have that too, Paul.
Well, no. It is all evidence being collected by the police.
Good.
Mrs. Hereward Christopher, the police commissioner, said, quote, "This case underscores our unwavering commitment to address and combat the promotion of gang-related activities," because the law also speaks about people who are professing either directly or not to be associated with gangs. You understand? And address and combat promotion of gang-related activities, particularly through influential figures in the entertainment industry. So she's made a very profound statement about that.
Yeah. Anyway, gentlemen, I do have the acting CEO of Wasa online, Mr. Kelvin Romain. Good morning to you, sir. How are you?
Good morning, Mr. Khan, and good morning to your listeners.
Good morning, Mr. Khan.
Morning. We are full casted. We have Paul
Mr.
Richard,
Romain,
Stephen, and Richard Ragoobarsingh. So water restrictions are in place.
Water restrictions are in place. Good morning to your team as well.
Yeah. What is the fine if Richard decides to wash his car using a hose and is caught? What is the fine?
The fine at this point in time is $75. Unfortunately.
Oh.
Why is that unfortunate?
Do you find that's too low?
I believe so. It is not enough as a deterrent at this point in time, but this is what is within the law at this point in time.
It's like paying for a truck of water.
Sorry?
It's like if you're paying for a truck of water, that's fine. That fine is no deterrent.
No, it is not.
That is even less than a truck of water.
Yeah. So, Mr. Romain, is it that the Wasa official has to see the person using the hose, or can a neighbor snitch on another neighbor and send in a video or picture
Or
of
the
someone?
TTPS?
Or how does it work?
Yes, I mean, yeah, we operate on information as well and investigate the situation. Obviously, there will be a warning, and we trust that the customer, the user, would desist. Following that, we would act.
So what is Wasa doing? Because this issue of water restrictions is something that happens every year. In addition to the general water restrictions, as consumers, we are forced to enjoy post-1962 with Wasa at the helm of the distribution of water, where many citizens don't get a 24/7 water supply, while many citizens get a less than optimum water supply. So they're already restricted with water naturally with regard to Wasa in a lot of places in the country. So what is Wasa doing in terms of improving its water supply so that we don't have to have these restrictions and $75 fines?
Okay, that's an interesting point you raised there. And just to note that at this barren dry season, we are up in terms of coverage in Trinidad and Tobago to just over 60% of the population receive 4 days a week minimum and up to 24/7. We are consistently improving the system. It's part of our strategic plan to stabilize our network and increase local supply. The intention, obviously, is to have full coverage in Trinidad and Tobago to optimize network. Now, yes, we are imposing restrictions, and there are inherent restrictions on the system, which would be a contradiction in some instances, but we do have a culture of wastefulness because of the fact that we have very, very low tariffs, and I want to stress on that. So we have a culture where we pay a fixed rate for any amount of water. We expect with the restrictions that people conserve with just one conservation. It's simply just like you have a tank in your home and you have a certain time. You expect a schedule, just to say you expect water in a couple of days. You would conserve. You may not wash clothes until water comes. So it's just a matter of conservation. In this time, we are experiencing climate change. Climate change is not associated with Trinidad alone. It is international, and we have to adjust. We have to be able to adapt. We are building an agile organization. So when we are required to pivot, we pivot and adjust. We adjust. In this instance, at this point in time, while we saw it fit to bring that information to the national community as to the state of our water supply, is because we are learning, we are using data, we are trending, and we found that at this point in time, the levels are not where it's supposed to be. So we are taking front, we are being a little proactive, and we are asking the citizens and the national community, our stakeholders, to conserve as much as possible so that we know if the dry season goes a little more extreme, we are able to manage our resources.
Mr. Roman, let me paint a scenario for you, because in most instances, people, I guess, would use their hose to water plants. Now, plants, if you know plants and the purchasing and the growing of plants, it's a very expensive hobby for some people or business, right? And if the person was proactive enough to store water, let's say they have 3-4 tanks of water, is that still an issue? Would that still be an issue for Wasa?
Well, it's in the scheme of things, it could be, but you're not debarred from storage. There are people with large storage facilities which affect the system. I would call it like a pseudo demand, because while we cater, and there's some calculations that are done, while we cater for 4 to 5 people max in a household, that demand actually, with large storage, it actually doubles that, and we get some errors in calculation and stuff like that. So, but I would discourage storage. Actually, storage is part of resilience, So,
you said you would discourage storage.
You would not discourage. You would not discourage it.
Oh, you would not discourage.
No,
okay.
no storage. I would encourage some level of storage. What I'm saying is that some people take it to the extreme,
Yeah.
Mr. Romain,
Rooney,
is it-
I want to ask you about the buying of water. There are trucks that go around and there's a number that they say for water call so and so, but then they charge you from $300 to $500 for water. Is that legal?
They don't charge you for the
Now,
water, they charge you for the
the
transport.
sale of water or purveyor of water is illegal if it is that you don't have permission from Wasa. And in most instances, you have people selling water illegally. Now, what they're really charging you for is transport, because that figure, that price is really cheap. It's a very low figure. From what I'm hearing, it's $300 to $400. Actually, in some instances, based on the demand and the desperacy of the person, they take advantage of people by charging exorbitant prices as well. But the average price I was told is about $300 to $400. What happens is that these people who sell water in trucks and in a tank supply, they would go into discrete areas in some instances where you have estates or something, and they have specific hydrants they open, they fill it, and then they sell the water. We have done some investigations and found that people set up communities where they would go to various homes that have that tank farms are constructed, and they pull water from them and they sell. So it's an organized business. I must admit there's a gap in the system, and the gap is the lull in supply, the areas that are underserved, and this permits for that kind of activity. Hence the reason why Wasa is steadfast in improving its network, in improving its system. We do recognize that the demand on the system is high, and higher than before, obviously. With time, we have an increasing population, increasing business activity, and we are adapting and improving our system.
Mr. Romain, there were allegations in a report that I had sight of that a lot of that activity was alleged to have been happening from contractors, some contractors within Wasa. Has that been disbanded?
I didn't hear has that been? Sorry, Mr. Richard?
There was a report I saw which suggested that a lot of those activities with people illegally selling water in some areas came about because of some contractors from within Wasa, contracted by Wasa in some other capacity, engaging in that activity. Is that part of what you were able to disband?
I wouldn't want to make any pronouncements on that because our investigations are continuing, but the contractors that are hired by Wasa do have the facility with regards to the trucks and the tanks on the trucks and stuff like that. So that is all I'd want to say at this point in time with regards to that matter. The investigation is continuing.
That report I saw over a year ago. That's the longest investigation in the history of the country.
Okay. I am not aware of that particular report, Mr. Richards, but I could assure yourself and the public that we are having ongoing investigations as it relates to illegal water trucking.
What are the means that Wasa uses to identify persons in breach of the use of the hose law that is active as of yesterday?
Well, we usually patrol. I did mention we had a press conference yesterday, and I did mention that we patrol zones, particularly zones that are served with a consistent supply of water, and we look for people who are a bit wasteful in some instances, and some people just arbitrary to the laws, and they probably unaware in some instances, and we, as I said, we warn, and I mean, we don't want to take your hose, so we just want the right behavior.
So just state for clarity what the law states, please.
I do not have the law before me, Mr. Richard.
But if you give me a paraphrase, what is prohibited? What is generally prohibited at this time?
Simply, it is you are unable to use any hose or appurtenances attached to a hose. You are unable to use pressure washers. You're unable to have fountains operating, waterfalls, and so forth.
What about the various car wash bays? People that have these companies that wash your cars. What about that?
Yeah, so that's an excellent question. Those car washes, they're supposed to be regulated. If it is that they are unregulated, we are actually visiting some of the car washes, and what we have found is that the car washes now, they fill barrels and they use buckets to wash their vehicles, which I would want to encourage. But the car wash businesses should be metered and regulated, and we are monitoring that as well closely.
So if they're not using buckets, is it that they're conducting an illegal activity?
Yeah, there will be a contravention of the act, and it would have taken effect from early this morning.
Yeah.
Because the big one in the West is you have to drive through something, and that is not a bucket.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
Thank you for being with us.
All right.
Wait, just one more question. You didn't really answer my question with regard to what Wasa is doing in terms of improve their water supply in terms of wells and stuff. Because the ideal position is that you don't want restrictions. And I know you mentioned climate change, but we have been having these problems since 1962. So climate change is not really a great excuse for citizens because they're so tired of Wasa. For a lot of them, they're tired of Wasa and the problems that they have had through generations in terms of access to a 24/7 water supply. So what are you doing to increase that water supply so that you don't have to have restrictions? That's my point.
I beg to differ a bit with regards to some decades ago. It was a total different situation. The demand would have been less, and climate change would not been as how to put it, as it is now in terms of harsh as it is now. What climate change does, it exacerbates a situation. So you have increased rainfall, or you have extreme dry season, extreme rainfall, or extreme dry season. And sometimes they have far in between. So it's really a different time. Your demand as well would have gone up. We do recognize that our system would have been designed back in the day. It may not have taken climate change into consideration. So we would have to upgrade. We would have to change lines. We have to increase capacity. Where we have 4-inch lines as part of a distribution network, we'd have to increase it to 6-inch lines. That is with regards to distribution. With regards to new water sources. Now, yes, we want to promote conservation and optimization, but in some instances, the distance travel from where the water source is to where it ends up is really too long and it's inefficient. And what we would usually do is install boosters that assist and all of that, which in some, engineering-wise, it may not be the best solution. So what we are doing, we are going to localized sources. Notice that to the extreme of our systems, the highly elevated parts of our system, we have challenges, and we are looking directly at those areas at this point in time to stabilize the supply. I'll just give you an example. So Mayaro has a challenge. We have we have a mix of supplies into that area. We have well supplies, as well as we have the Navet water treatment plant going into that area. We are looking at 70 kilometers or so distance travel for that water. And along the way, there's a demand. And over time, the demand would increase. So less and less water ends up in Mayaro. So we have to do something about it. We looked at it closely. And a stopgap measure, the fastest way to get water to our customers would be to construct a desalinated plant. No, that is just part of it. That is more long-term. And I say long-term meaning like a year. What we are doing right now, we are actually drilling 2 wells to supplement the supply in the interim. So we are looking at specific areas. We're looking at areas. And just to add, when we add that supply, we are looking to add 1.5 million gallons in that area. When we add that supply, what it does, it retracts the major source, which is in this case Navet water supply, and you are able now to feed and supplement other areas, which is a direct and indirect benefit to our customers. And that's just one particular area. We would have improved the supply in the Freeport area quite recently with the drilling of a number of wells, increased our plant production to about 3.5 million. I could tell you firsthand, I would have been on a daily basis. I would have been, sent requests by the MP for the area on a daily basis. That almost cut to zero. Once in a while now, he would send a request for truck one to a particular constituent or whatever. But I'm saying that these are the steps we have taken, and we are seeing the difference. We are seeing, the impact. It's the community water improvement program that is being led by or executed through the Ministry of Public Utilities is an excellent example of us stabilizing localized communities. But we are going ahead. You all would have seen, the public would have seen us sending out tenders for areas such as Santa Cruz, for a water treatment plant in Santa Cruz, for Goldsboro and Tobago, for Moruga water treatment plant, a desalination plant there, and I spoke about Mayara. So there are a number of things that we are doing to improve the supply, increase the water sources around Trinidad and Tobago.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. And I just wanted to mention that one of our listeners is saying that there are leaks on Simeon Road in Pitti Valley where gallons and gallons of water is wasting. So I don't know if you could check into that.
And someone also keeps asking about Flexible Enterprises Limited. Who's in charge of that? Are you aware of that company, Mr. Romain?
Flexible is contracted to supply truck one supply for us in Wasa, yes.
Mm-hmm. And one last thing before you go with me is that around this time of the year, during the dry season, the hot dry season, a lot of people flock to water parks, swimming pools, and so on. How are the regulations in place for places like that, these water parks and swimming pools and so on?
Well, the water parks that I am aware of are regulated by means of commercial meters. So they pay commercial rates, which is usually higher. That in itself, encourages efficient use of their water. I would want to believe I would want to believe they use their water wisely, and in some instances, refilter water, that kind of reuse and that kind of practice water efficiency.
All right.
Right. Thank you so much. I just have one quick note, is that when leaks are repaired, I wish they would just come back and patch the road.
Okay, I would be happy to come back on another program to speak about leaks, and we are working on that to have a sustainable leak repair, I call it, quote unquote, sustainable leak repair. It in some instances it may be related to pressure management, how we operate the system, and we are gathering data right now and obviously we are data driven more and more to determine when we repair leak what caused the leak, and it would be it wouldn't reoccur. So these things that we are looking closely into as well.
Okay. Wonderful. Yeah. Thank you so much, Mr. Kelvin Romain, for being with us, the acting CEO of Wasa. Thank you.
Thanks for the opportunity.
All the best to you.
Day.
You too. Take care. All right.
It's time for news.
Yeah. The next time he's on, or whoever's the head of CEO, I want to ask about desalination plants, because I think the cost of desalination plants has decreased in terms of the technology. And since we are surrounded by salt water, might it not be also an option in the modernization of desalination plants, utilizing that as a source of fresh water into the distribution system?
Okay. All right, Richard.
That's how all of that goes.
Yeah.
But I think we go to the news, and then we come back. We could do maybe a short poll, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. Yeah, coming up, our guest next hour will be the president of Pantranbago, Beverly Ramsey Moore.
What do you want as our poll, Paul?
I don't know if we have time for one.
It's Wendell. It's a
And
short
let's get into news.
Oh, good Lord. Oh, God.
This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
Threats sent via email to primary schools in the Southeastern District. Ministry condemns the disruption to students' education. THA sets aside $15 million for cleanup efforts. Soldiers deployed to defend the airport of the Haitian capital Port-au-Prince from an assault by armed gangs. And Meta resolves a technical issue which caused Facebook Messenger and Instagram to go down. Details in a moment. This is news to 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. I'm Avril Sintel-Bab. Good morning. The Ministry of Education has condemned the disruptions to students' education caused by a threat sent via email to primary schools in the Southeastern District. It explained, as per established safety protocols, students were removed to muster points, the TTPS was notified, and sweeps of the identified schools within the Southeastern Education District has begun. Once schools are cleared for resumption of normal school operations, principals will be advised and will in turn advise parents. Based on the projection of the TTPS, most, if not all, affected schools should be able to resume operations on Wednesday today. Meanwhile, President of the TNT Unified Teachers Association, Martin Lumpkin, has criticized the ministry's handling of the incident, saying students and staff were left out in the sun while they waited for instructions. In a circulated voice note yesterday, Lumpkin accused the Ministry of Education of restraining or restricting principals from exercising discretionary authority. The initial email warned people to stay away from schools on March 5th and 6th, noting that at midday a device would be set off. Lumpkin said they were aware that the TTPS and fire services could not visit all schools in the Southeast District because of the geographical locations of the schools. Principals were informed that they are not allowed to dismiss school and had to await instructions by the Ministry of Education. Lumpkin added that the teachers, administrators, and students were at the muster points under the hot sun and without shelter in some cases. Lumpkin also questioned why principals were instructed not to dismiss schools and await further instructions from the Education Ministry. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley is criticizing the United National Congress for failing to meet with the government to discuss anti-crime measures while finding time to meet with St. Lucia's opposition leader Alan Chastity, a man he called Tropical Trump. Speaking last evening with members of the public at his Conversations with the Prime Minister series at Skiffle Bunch Pan Theatre in San Fernando, Dr. Rowley stated that the country has a serious crime problem. And it makes you wonder who produced all these murderers. He said, all of us are traumatized, harassed, and threatened by the misbehavior of a number of people. Dr. Rowley said this country's president requested that both government and opposition find common ground to combat this country's crime scourge. He said that was the catalyst for the yet-to-happen meeting between the two political parties. The prime minister said that soon after, he appointed 4 people to represent the government, and the attorney general was tasked to chair the meeting. Opposition leader Kamala Persad-Bissassa has insisted in the past that she believes that the Prime Minister should be present at those meetings, a position Dr. Rowley has disagreed with. The Prime Minister added, while the opposition cannot find time for this national crisis, they did find time to have a meeting with who he referred to as Tropical Trump, former St. Lucia Prime Minister and opposition leader Alan Chastity. Chastity spoke at the UNC's Monday night anti-crime meeting in Sangre Grande, where he hailed Persad-Bissassa as a visionary. Trinidad and Tobago has a culture of wastefulness when it comes to water. This is according to the acting CEO of the Water and Sewerage Authority, Kelvin Romaine, who spoke with the Power Breakfast Show a short while ago. He said people need to be more responsible with water use, especially in the dry season. He stated that because of climate change, persons have to be willing to be more responsible. He said that the water levels at the reservoirs are low, and due to this, Wasa has to take action to ensure that they manage resources. Separately, he assured members of the public that the Water and Sewerage Authority is carrying out investigations into illegal trucking, as there have been reports of such recently. He said that persons Haitians are unable to use hoses or pressure washers during the season in an effort to conserve water. He said that car wash businesses are unregulated, and this is something the authority is monitoring. Mr. Romain stated that presently 2 wells are being drilled to supplement water supply. However, he said it is also the public's responsibility to help conserve water. $15 million has been set aside to take care of oil spill cleanup efforts in Tobago. This was revealed by the Tobago House of Assembly Chief Secretary Farley Augustine. He made the revelation at a news briefing held this week. Augustine assured people affected will be compensated. He said the necessary groundwork is being done in this area, such as collecting invoices and preparing checks to start payments as quickly as possible. A local recording artist appeared before the North High Court on Monday after he was arrested and charged under the Anti-Gang Act of 2021. Joseph Oliver, widely known as Med's Boss, was charged with being a gang member contrary to Section 51B and professing to be a gang member contrary to Section 51D. Med's Boss was granted $40,000 bail with a surety when he appeared before Master Margaret Sukraj Goswami. The charges follow an extensive investigation conducted by the Special Investigations Unit Gang Enforcement Team, focusing primarily on videos posted on social media platforms promoting gang violence and gang culture. The accused is due to reappear in court on March 15, 2024. Meanwhile, Commissioner of Police Erla Harewood Christopher stated that the case underscores the TTP's unwavering commitment to addressing and combating the promotion of gang-related activities, particularly through influential figures in the entertainment industry. The lure of gangs is pervasive, she said, as gang culture is portrayed as glamorous and the in thing. She said gang life is a direct pathway to poverty, prison, and an early grave, as young men are mere pawns who are easily replaced. You are listening to news on Power 102 Digital to 7 o'clock. Soldiers have been deployed to defend the airport of the Haitian capital, Port-au-Prince, from an assault by armed gangs. The gang's aim is to prevent the return to Haiti of Prime Minister Ariel Henry, who is believed to be abroad. Violence has spiraled in his absence, and the gangs are demanding he resign. More details in this BBC report.
Why isn't the Haitian army up to the task?
Well, the Haitian army was disbanded under former President Aristide, and it is trying to reconstitute itself. And actually today there was news that that reconstituted army, which is extremely weak and very poorly armed, is trying to get to the national airport in Port-au-Prince in order to prevent the collapse of that major infrastructure in the country.
Further afield, Meta says it has resolved a technical issue which caused Facebook, Messenger, and Instagram to go down. Hundreds of thousands of users worldwide were unable to access them for around 2 hours on Tuesday. People trying to log onto the websites and apps were finding error messages and were unable to refresh their feeds as normal. Meta also apologized to those who had been affected, saying it resolved the problem as quickly as it could. Tracking website Down Detector indicated the outages had affected multiple countries. Meta's platforms are some of the most popular in the world. Facebook has 3 billion active monthly users, while Instagram is expected to hit 1.4 billion worldwide later this year. Finally, here's weather news for the period today till midnight. Trinidad and Tobago mostly fair, except for some brief showery interruptions. Nighttime mostly fair, but becomes partly cloudy from around midnight, with some isolated showers, especially near southern areas of Trinidad. You can expect a temperature high of 33 degrees Celsius at Piarco International Airport and 32 degrees Celsius at Crown Point, Tobago. Currently, the temperature at Piarco is 25 degrees Celsius, and it is 27 degrees Celsius at Crown Point, Tobago. Recapping your headlines to 7 o'clock, threats sent via email to primary schools in the Southeastern District. The Education Ministry condemns the disruption of students' education. THA sets aside $15 million for cleanup efforts. Soldiers deployed to defend the airport of the Haitian capital, Port-au-Prince, from an assault by armed gangs. And Meta resolves a technical issue which caused Facebook, Messenger, and Instagram to go down. I'm Avril Sindel-Bab. That was news to 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. Look out for more news in detail at 12 noon and an update at 8 o'clock this morning. For more details, log on to power102fm.com.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
All righty. Thank you so much, Evie, for our major news. You can join her again come 8 o'clock for our news brief. All right. Traffic-wise, what you expect is what you're going to get. San Fernando is lighter than usual. Grande to Valencia to the bypass. Yep, that's a bit sticky this morning. Usual routes. Yep, you've got some traffic there for sure. All right. All right. As well as I bring the guys in, right, I should give you the results of our morning poll from yesterday. We asked you yesterday, should the Emperor Valley Zoo be relocated? That was our poll yesterday. 63%, 63 said yes. It should be relocated. All right?
Mm-hmm. All right, but we don't have a poll as yet. We waited on our boss man to.
We have a poll. This is a short poll.
Yeah, but so it about me then. Because I listen, every time I listen to anybody from Wasa, now I kind of just listen. Because they all speak the same way. Really.
As for the excuses.
Yeah.
And really and truly, a lot is not, despite what anybody says, the complaints about irregular water supply, leaks, digging up road, it's the same thing.
It's a cycle. It's a
and
cycle.
Tell me what, Richard, right? Tell me what climate change, you didn't have climate change 30 years ago that we knew about, and how your supply still sucked.
Yeah. So it's
about climate change. Climate change is my point.
They speak with hope. That's the most I can say. They speak with hope, great hope. But really and truly, Wasa is a sore that I don't know how they're going to fix. How? They all have good intentions, I believe, but how they're fixing it, I don't know. Because every year we hear about Wasa being restructured. Has it been? I don't know. What has happened? What is different in Wasa this year than it was last year? I don't know. This is a time of the year where more water is used than ever. People do construction, buildings go up. People use this opportunity to do so many things. How are you going to regulate water at this point in time? Huh? People wait for the dry season to do construction work that requires tons of water.
True.
It just I don't know. And leaks all over. Well, I see they're finally going to do something about Mokorapo Road, because Mokorapo Road, the pipes have been too close to the surface from ever since. We keep complaining about it. They finally, I see them mark the road recently, and they start cutting it. So hopefully they will go there and relay those pipes, because Mokorapo Road is leak after leak after leak after leak after leak. Every time they repair one, the next one springs up. But the pipe is so close to the surface.
So I've constructed a question, which is the only one coming to my mind today. And it has to do with there's Ruben. What Ruben doing this Saturday morning?
We have a meeting.
Was he can't sleep?
Yeah. The St. Lucian opposition leader coming to TNT to talk about crime.
Tropical Trump is here.
Which Dr. Rowley chastised last night. So the suggestion for a question is, do you agree with the St. Lucian opposition leader talking about crime in TNT? Is that okay?
All right. Tropical Trump.
Isn't it an issue of the correct me if I'm wrong, Paul, but isn't it an issue of Kamala Persad-Bissessar calling out for a union or a collaboration of opposition parties across the Caribbean, having their own, I don't want to say, what to call it, their own grouping?
Wasn't it his idea, or was it Kamala Persad-Bissessar's idea?
I'm not sure.
Well, they called for a grouping of opposition leaders across the region as an organization. I guess to deal with mutual issues in the region. Would you prefer the question be based on that?
That's a better poll. Do you agree with an opposition
regional opposition caucus?
Yeah, regional opposition caucus. That way we could get something for Mrs. Prasad Bisesa to focus on now. So she could get up and work 5 days a week or something. Yes, Beauty Culture is saying it was his idea, not it was Tropical Trump's idea, not Mrs. Prasad Bisesa.
I call him the man Tropical Trump.
I just repeated what I hear. Where did the question go?
That's correcting something. So that's the question this morning.
Go ahead, Richard.
Do you agree with a regional opposition caucus to deal with issues in the region? That's our poll this morning. Of course, it would have culminated in Mr. Chastany meeting with Kamala Prasad Bisesa yesterday. Was it yesterday? I believe it was yesterday. Monday.
He was at the Monday night forum.
Monday night, discussing crime. But crime is pervasive throughout the region. So...
And St. Lucia is having their fair share.
It would be an opposition concern too. So 222 talk, 222-8255, North Americans 866-525-1099. People on the web and the app, you can of course leave your responses by the respective platforms wherever you're watching us. So you can send your votes there. And you can also do it via WhatsApp at 318-1021. Before you start calling in, we'll have to wait for Steve to come back. But certainly votes on the stream we can take. And Wendell, you're recording, right?
Yes, I'm recording.
Yeah.
And Beauty Culture is also recording too, apparently.
You see the buff?
Yeah. I don't know what I mean, because I don't know if Beauty Culture is aware that we get results from answers from different platforms, not only from this platform here.
Yeah. And WhatsApp.
Yeah. So one person has voted. Royalty Forever says yes.
Sarcasm start already, let me tell you.
Finbar Collins says yes. He says, I agree. It is clear that both of them agree to be in opposition forever, and it may make more sense to create a caucus to keep relevant in opposition. I love that idea. Okay. Dilip Celeste has not voted. All right. So we taking your votes, people. Wayne Joseph said no.
So do you agree with a regional opposition caucus to deal with issues in the region? That's our poll this morning. 222-TALK, 222-8255, North Americans, 866-525-1099, people on the web and the app, and all our streaming platforms, whether it be in LinkedIn, Insta Live, Facebook, YouTube. You can send your votes via the comment section or message options there. And of course, you can also send it to WhatsApp at 868-318-1021.
And while you're voting, let's share a clip from Dr. Rowley at the conversations with the Prime Minister last evening in San Fernando.
That we are all very familiar with. But yet I have people telling me that the reason why the opposition is not doing that is because I am not part of the team. That sound like sense to you? But they sitting down with Chastany, as if St. Lucia, who had Chastany in their government to run their country, throw him out of office unceremoniously, but in Trinidad to try to tell us how to run Trinidad. No thanks, Tropical Trump.
You have it come from Richard?
But it just shows you where some people's interests are and where your government interests and your government.
All right, so we have some votes coming up. We have Wayne Joseph said no. Sherwin Kerr said no. Keith Watkins said no. Jean Clark said no. Slick Money Grip said no. Julia Batiste said no. Beauty culture, I don't know where you get. We had 100% on Monday. I don't know that we had. I have the results right in front of me. I never said 100%. If I was the one who read it. Lester Cragwell says no. Evans David says no. And Rena Jennings also says no.
Yeah, we have a call too. Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. Sandy Grandy, yes.
Radio, thank you. All right, I have Cascade saying and saying yes on WhatsApp. I have Alistair Hart saying yes. I have Trevor Narima saying no. I have Central and Central. Okay.
She calling to say no.
Okay, no, that was a Wasa question. I have Anne Marie saying yes.
Marcia Rock says no.
Good morning, Chris Tusa. All right. Do you agree with a regional opposition caucus to deal with issues in the region? Okay.
While you're voting, we show another video, disturbing video this time about murder in Port of Spain yesterday. It will be triggering to those who cannot handle violence. Very, very tragic. Caught on CCTV camera yesterday. Got somebody gunned down in broad daylight yesterday in Port of Spain.
What is it here?
Gregory Boyer says no.
Isn't that crazy?
Ran up, shot that man on the ground and ran away, like nobody's business.
Nobody's business. Maraval on the road says no way.
Beauty culture, the online results are mostly, a lot of times differ from our actual calling. I have to, that happens. So by the next day when Steve gets it online, sometimes it changes drastically.
Yeah,
and it may have been 100%. Yeah. That happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me see if I get Beverly on the phone. She's our guest this morning.
Yeah, that happens. 100, yes, it happens that way. It happens that way. Sometimes, remember, 100% could be two people voting, and two of them say yes.
And people voting multiple times.
To the people actually calling in or voting live on air. It's different. It's always different. Most times. I've raised questions about it all the time, but that's how it is.
And the bots and the trolls.
Yep, plenty of them online. Beauty Culture says no to the poll. Michael Robinson Manish says no.
You have 2 more minutes to send your votes in for our question this morning. Do you agree with a regional opposition caucus to deal with issues in the region, as has been suggested by the leader of the opposition in St. Lucia, Mr. Alan Chastely?
For instance, this poll may very well switch around online tomorrow and say all yes. You'll be surprised.
Well, more than likely it will, because as I said, there are several anomalies with the overnight polling that we have not been able to explain.
No. Miss Lip Celeste says no, and Carol Guevara says no.
What says you, caller?
Yes, I say yes, we should. But could I say something, or I'll wait till after the vote?
You can say something.
Wait, no.
All right. Well, this gentleman who was on the platform calling for that, he is not accurate with what is happening in Trinidad. I wonder if he knows it must have enough Indians on that caucus to get Kamala Harris to support that.
Oh, Lord, where you going with that?
I wonder if he knows that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Why would you say something like that?
Because when it starts, I just don't know. My
The
brain is
caucus is of opposition parties across
Yeah.
the Caribbean.
I don't know. The way some people's brain just goes astounding to me.
Yeah.
CJ from New York says no. Wayne B says no. Adrian Kutu says no. Well,
When I hear anything, my brain have a what do you call it, a surge protector. It's kicking. Stop all input.
That caller does not normally go down that road though, but I noticed he went down that road Monday and he's gone down that road again today.
I mean, what sense does that make?
Yeah. Antonio Butts. I met Antonio Butts at the Queen's Park Savannah over the carnival season. He says,
Antonio, that's a very good question. So what happens if you become government? You get thrown out of the caucus? Good point.
No, the opposition. There will always be an opposition.
So the opposition will take your place in the caucus?
Yeah,
naturally.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now what happened?
That has to be something that comes out of CARICOM or somewhere.
Paul and Wendell, what happens if Alan Chastity is now re-elected as the St. Lucian Prime Minister and Dr. Rory is still Prime Minister? And you've called him Tropical Trump.
He will continue to call him Tropical Trump.
If you know Dr. Rowley, he will.
If you know Dr. Rowley, he will continue to call him Tropical Trump. And you will see Trinidad and Tobago having less and less relations with St. Lucia.
So relationship with St. Lucia will become frayed.
Yeah, of course it will.
We were afraid, you mean non-existent? and when they go to CARICOM, he will say, I ain't sitting down there. I'm not sitting there.
Even though it's unclear whether Dr. Rowley is going up for 2025.
It's unclear.
It's unclear.
To who?
Generally.
It's unclear to you?
Yeah.
It's not unclear to me.
Oh, you think he's going up?
Absolutely.
No,
I think it's unclear. It's unclear to me also.
Absolutely. Absolutely, he's going up.
He's given some signals that he may not.
Last time too?
No, last time he didn't have a choice in a kind of way because he was elected as leader of the PNM again. You can't be prime minister. You can't be prime minister if you're not the leader of a party, you know.
So the results of the morning poll is
22 people said no, 7 said yes. 22 people said no, they do not agree with the regional opposition caucus. 7 said yes. So Beauty Culture, it may, as I say, it may very well change tomorrow when the online results come in. Because the 2 trolls and the 4 bots will all say yes, and it will be 100% yes.
So we open the phone lines.
So 222-TALK, 222-8255, North Americans, 866-525-1099. Just reminding you, of course, that theaters on this weekend, Love is a Walk is on in San Fernando at SAPA, the Southern Academy for the Performing Arts. And, of course, tickets are available at SAPA box office from today, from 12 noon to 6 p.m. daily today, and, of course, for the rest of the week and through showtime on Saturday and Sunday. And, of course, tickets are also available at K-Squared Fashions at C3 Center in Gulf City, Friends of Marabella by the Roundabout, and Creme Fresh in Brentwood Mall, Chagonas, for those of you in that area. There's an unbelievable amount of comments from people who came over the weekend. And we had 2 really good houses on Queen's Hall. People just came out in droves. And I mean, the comments on social media, people who attended, is absolutely fantastic. I read some of it yesterday. So you should not miss it. Someone saying it's the funniest play they've seen. And I mean, Bacchanal Bubble and Bad Behavior was funny. And some of it is even funnier than that. So
good morning. Good morning, caller.
Not miss it.
Caller, good morning. Not there. Moving on. Good morning.
Hi, good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
I'm not sure if you all ever got the Bankers Association on at any time. because I know it's ridiculous in terms of the banking fees. Yesterday, I wanted a letter from a couple of the banks. 3 banks gave me the letter instantly and at no cost. But one bank, 2 working days and $100 for the letter. And I think it's ridiculous. It's just a regular letter to go to an institution. And there is...
You sure you got it free from the other banks, or they taking it out your
Yes,
account?
I did. Yes, I got it free instantly. I waited 10 minutes, and I got it. A letter for the embassy. Okay, and the other bank, it was $100, and actually on the form that you sign up, they're telling you that they're going to deduct it from your account.
Yes,
but
that's what I'm saying.
There's nothing on the form that tells you what is the cost. So I had to ask, so what is the cost of the letter? Because you're asking me to sign something to deduct it, but I don't know the cost. And then she said, okay, this is the cost. But I even found that was wrong, because the cost should be somewhere for me to see and decide, am I going to take it or am I not going to take it? I just wondered, it's about time, people get together. The Bankers Association need to do something, because it can't be just like, it's a free-for-all across the board, and they're making big profit.
Which is what I find surprising, that you said you got it free from 3 other banks. Most times banks are in alignment with one another with these things, I'm surprised that you actually got it free from other banks, because they charge for everything now in a bank.
Yeah. Imagine I paid a fee to get a law firm to write me a letter since the first week of January. And I had to call them yesterday to say, what is going on? Why am I not getting this letter? Well, you didn't pay. What? I paid. And I had to actually take a screenshot of the transaction that I transferred and send it to them. And then they go, oh. Oh, that's what you get. Oh. Good morning.
Banks will make joke with their money, no?
Yeah. Morning, caller.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. To Paul, Wendell, and thank you, Steve and Richard.
Good morning. What is it?
Right. And Paul, you were highly amused when you with the school children with it. It's when what was jumping up there, cat.
What? Yes.
Was it a cat?
Yes.
Jumping up. And that's the time you choose to tell me good morning.
When the cat was jumping?
Yes.
It may have triggered a memory in my mind.
I thought as much. Your mind is so damn warped, I would imagine. You know what? Richard, when is that play coming up to Cipriani?
Probably at the end of the month or the first week in April, which will be
All
just
right.
after.
That will suit me, because you see this month is Women's Month. So you see this Women's Day weekend and all that's coming up there. I'll be very busy. You understand? There's so many different things to go to, so I can't find time for that play. But you're advertising it. Oh God, you're a good salesman.
I didn't see it, Mrs. Rowley's Women's thing Monday. It didn't call you?
I didn't go. That's for working women. I'm getting out of my bed to go to talk story that hour. Don't worry. I go to wear the things that suit me. You know? I wonder if this season where it's very dry and so many bushfires, I had a family of mine in Las Lomas, and he said that his wife alone was home, and there was a bushfire because the neighbors are wrong not cutting the grass. And it spread to her place, and the wife said she made 3 calls to the hotline, and they say, yeah, all right. And nobody came.
Well,
Nobody.
what you should do, Zena,
Pardon me?
tell them what you do to out your bushfire.
She was fighting with a garden hose. I'll answer you just now. Garden hose. She suffers from asthma. And I mean, the fire reached where it burned out the facility state
That's frightening.
Panzer grass. And she alone fighting with a little
That's
hose.
very frightening. Let me tell you, and bushfires move very quickly.
Yes, and she's burn out the chair and trampoline. It burn out the pool. They have the overground pool, over the ground pool. It damaged that. I mean, it's so unfair to people. So I'm calling on the chief fire officer. Check out and make sure that your officers respond when people call for help. You understand? Okay. So in a case like that, I hope Wasa don't have to go and lock up anybody for using a hose.
That'll be an exigent circumstance.
Yes. Okay, so I have no recommendation to give anybody for out in no fire. Everybody out there fire in their own way when the authorities ain't come.
And how do you out your bushfire?
Well, my bushfire easy to out, you know. Once a proper hose is used. You understand? A sizable hose.
Have a good morning, Zena.
Yeah.
Have a good morning.
All right. Y'all have a wonderful
And she
day.
say my mind open.
Morning, Shannon. Well, they asked me a question and answer you. I said, once they covered a sizable hose, and it's forceful enough, you understand?
It has high pressure.
That's how you know. You finish the talk for me. See you walk with yourself.
Have a good day, Zena.
I go and thanks. You too.
Perversion brought to you by P&Z.
Oh God! You know, I've been seeing on social media, post the whole back and forth between the KFC thing. Are people actually boycotting KFC? I can't tell, you know.
It seems so, at some level anyway.
I can't tell. To me, it looks normal to me.
What is that?
KFC.
No, I passed by a couple and they empty, but me, I really ain't care, no?
If it is, that'll only be for a short while.
Yeah, I saw a guy post a bill though. Nigel Reed posted a bill, a receipt, where they're charging for the condiments and thing now, the ones you take away now.
Mm-hmm.
I say okay.
I saw that too.
No, but that was Royal Castle. That wasn't KFC.
No, it was KFC.
No, it was Royal Castle.
No, it was Royal Castle. I saw that too.
David West posted it up.
No, that person posted a KFC bill.
Oh, that's a separate bill which I didn't see.
No, well, David West posted up the Royal Castle one, where you're paying for the container to put in the
Yo, could you imagine? You might put it in my hand, so they ain't really charging for the condiment, they're charging for the container.
Charging for the container.
So if I carry my own container, you wouldn't charge me?
Maybe not.
But the same management says we can't put in nothing but these containers.
Mm-hmm.
It's just too much fuss now. You either buy the thing or you don't buy it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just find people spending too much time on it now.
Yeah, if you want chicken, buy a chicken.
You have the power of choice.
Yeah.
That's all. We have some calls coming through. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I heard Mr. Sinanan want to change the cable from on the freeway, not the freeway, on the highway to something more expensive. So he not spend that money somewhere else and plant some beautiful flowering trees on the highway. It have an ISO opposite City Hall in Trinidad in San Fernando. He could spend the money on that if he don't know what to do with the money he have. I don't see the cable on the highway mash up that's not important. Or whosoever mash up the cable, whenever they bounce it, the fee should start at $10,000. So they will learn to drive carefully. Whether you lose a limb or eye, once you bounce the cable off some guard on the side of the road, it starts at $10,000. That's all they have to do. Why are you looking to waste money to go and move the cable to put something more expensive? God grief, spend the money somewhere else.
But I mean, it's about safety, and it's not just about that. It's about safety of people driving and commuting on the road. Remember, you have taxis, you have all manner of transport on a road, and the issue of a state is to save people's lives. That's the primary issue in terms of putting up those safety measures. It's to save human life. So it can't be that you lose an eye and you lose a limb and you have to pay $10,000. That's not how the society works. The society cannot be so callous.
And you see the barriers. Now, if you're driving the highway and for some odd reason you run off, you hit the barriers, it's like a cushion. If you're driving and then all of a sudden you lose control and you hit a tree, that's a different story.
Yep. You see, it's also to protect the person on the other side of the highway too.
Yep.
You understand? Because a lot of people end up over on that side, and some innocent person going about the daily road
exactly
gets injured or killed because of, you know.
So good morning. We had to actually explain the use of the barriers.
Yeah, apparently. Morning, Mr. Patrick. How are you?
Morning, everybody.
Morning, Mr. Patrick.
I was listening to a conversation recently where the young man was charged as a gang member, right? And a conversation came up. Wendell, you could help me with this one. You meet this nice, beautiful lady and she have a son who's a gang member. And you can't talk to him. Where you do?
And you want me to help you with that?
No, I actually will do.
You said, Wendell, you could help me with this.
No, you'll stay in a relationship or what to do because
the son had nothing to do with me.
No, I asking you what you will do because you're an influential fella. Right?
Well, I would try to change his son's life. If I can't, well then so be it.
You have to walk away and go.
I not walk away. Walk away from the son. This I not. This not the son and I have the relationship. Huh?
Oh, no.
So you were in a relationship, Wendell?
No, I'm just going along with. I'm trying to.
When you go for a sleepover, if your partner swing for him, you get caught up in the melee?
No. If you hear Mr. Patrick is saying that if you and a woman in a relationship and her son is a gangster, what will you do? Do you just walk away from the lady because her son is a gangster? I don't know that happens.
I'm sure it does.
It's reaching to that point now. People are with boy children like you around now.
You ain't gonna share at all.
That woman might be a bigger gangster than the son.
Oh God.
You know that man right now. I was just saying, anytime they meet a woman with a child, they don't want a relationship.
How it come to she might be a bigger gangster than she said Wendell?
Well, this is serious issue because I
can see some men walking away and saying, good luck.
Not me. Bye.
No, well, that's if you just meet the woman. But if you've developed a relationship and so on.
But how can we develop a relationship and not know her son is a gangster? You must find that out early on.
So I'm not following the scenario Mr. Patrick is painting. Is it that you're not finding out
you're in a relationship with a woman and his son is a gangster? It could be 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. Right?
I don't
So
know.
are you asking if at the point you
That-
find out the son is a gangster, will you stay or will you leave? Is that what you're asking?
That's what he needs to clarify.
Yes, I would
Yes.
leave. Bye.
You have to leave.
Stay with your gangster, son. Me going through that because if I come by
All
you
right.
and your partner swing for him, I could get mashed up. Or if she come by me and he come looking for your mother, no, bye. Go and deal with your gangster.
But there are children. There are children who are not gangsters and could bring worse upon you by some of the actions sometimes.
Yeah. All right. We have a call. Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. How are you guys doing?
I'm good, Captain Ron. How are you?
Morning, Captain.
I'm fine. You guys are making me. Listen, I just wanted to say something, but that proposition, whatever it is that these opposition people are deciding they want to join together for the region. What is the purpose? And first of all, let's say God forbid, one of them wins the election. Then what next? Then the other side who was in power comes up to join. I don't see the purpose. What are they trying to achieve? What are they going to do? How is it going to contribute to the Caribbean? It doesn't make sense. It's like playful people looking for something to do. It's very idle idea. You know. So I can't. When you think about it, what purpose does things serve? If let's say Kamala wins next year, does it mean that she has to drop out of that regional agreement or whatever it is? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. I guess it has to come from a CARICOM perspective that they think it's a good idea to have it for people in the opposition to remain relevant. That's the only thing I can think about.
Suppose you have a coup and overthrow. What happens then? You know, do they become like ECOWAS in Africa? Try to be popular?
Well, that's a different issue. The issue of the unconstitutional rise to power is something that CARICOM would deal in a particular way.
I think it's a waste of time. When you think about it, you know, and I 100% agree. He's just a regional Trump, topical regional Trump, or whatever you want to call it. Gentlemen, have a great day.
All right.
Thanks, Captain Ron. All the best to you. Good morning. Good morning. Final. Good morning, caller. Moving on. Good morning.
There, you know, but
I don't know what it is. Yeah. Morning, caller.
Hi, good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Morning, Alice.
I listened to the conversation last night with the Prime Minister, and I heard some young people ask some pertinent questions which the Prime Minister took time and he answered. One that stood out for me was one where the guy asked about the CCJ and if it was discussed with CARICOM and also the judiciary in terms of fighting crime, and what he thought about it. Also, Wendell, what I would have liked to see is similar questions go to the leader of the opposition and hear what is her take on it, because she doesn't answer any questions. What I would like to know also is if the UNC gets into power, seeing that they are anti-Maduro, would they continue with the dragon gas, manatee, and etc.? These are questions that I feel should be sent to the leader of the opposition and let's hear her take on it. Because you can't be talking about crime all the time. That's the only thing that bring you into power. Talk things that people would know that you're serious and you have a plan that could benefit the country and things so that they could vote for you. And nothing notices about crime all the time. Everybody knows what is going on and why it is going on.
Yeah. I want to make a bet this morning, guys.
Thank you, caller.
And including to this listener, Alistair, and so on. That the opposition leader will start making herself available for, just like how the Prime Minister has done over the years, he's been in opposition and Prime Minister. She will start making herself available to the media and for questioning. I'm willing to bet plenty money on that.
Okay, then.
Any takers?
Yeah,
no, but you're right. But you're right. People that you won't get, so like some guests we won't get on the program normally, but before election, guaranteed. Oh, sure, I'll come on the program.
She is going to
I
do
disagree
it.
with Wendell tremendously.
She is going to do it.
I think that, let me put this diplomatically, you're going to see interviews with people like Overshi, not necessarily a wide range of journalists from across the board.
She is going to make herself available.
You
to
will see,
to the public. Watch and see.
Yeah.
It's make or break now, you know.
Did it happen in 2015 or 2020?
No, it wasn't necessary then.
Okay.
It wasn't necessary then. She is going to do
Well,
it.
she might come on the Power Breakfast show.
She will. And she will request you all to come on there Tuesday or Thursday. But guess what? The link that's come to me every morning are jumping on.
As you are wont to do, you tend to jump on, even if you are not invited.
Unless all you tell Ruben, do not send that link for Wendell that morning.
It will be sent to you every morning.
I'm driving down to the studio.
But she wouldn't be in studio.
I know Steve go can't keep me out though. Steve go let me come inside.
You will never refuse the entry. As has been the case with all your relationships. No one ever refuses you entry.
All I have to do is walk with a bag of doubles and I'm good inside.
Oh, leaving you in with red carpet treatment.
No, but seriously, we have, and Richard will remember, had experiences where people from the UNC come by that window, watch inside and turn back, you know. And even that same man who just make
Who did that again, Wendell? I forgot.
Dr. Rambachan did it.
Right, yeah.
Philip Alexander did it when he was cussing outside in the lobby. When he see Rhoda walk out, he gets up and leave. Dr. Rambachan was Dr. Job. Well, the minute he looked in the window and he see Dr. Job, he turned and went straight back out. Now we've had that.
Yeah, we supposed to have Beverly Ramsey morning program. I sent the link and everything. I tried calling her a couple of times. I didn't get her. So hopefully I'll get her tomorrow. Don't know what happened there. President of Pantrenbago.
We've had all kind of characters on this Power Breakfast show, yes?
Steve, yeah. I would appreciate if you would try to reach out to Dr. Christopher Ora. Aries born, you're absolutely right.
How long we didn't talk to Ora?
To talk about Dr. Khan's assertions. Is it yesterday or the day before yesterday's?
Yesterday.
There's a question I wanted to ask him. When I asked him if he was vaccinated, and he said yes, because he had to get it to leave the country to work. I was going to ask him, and I got sidetracked for some reason. My brain kind of froze. If in that case he made a decision that money, because he's of the opinion that the vaccine is not foolproof, and please correct me if I'm misinterpreting him, it may not have been necessary and or may have been dangerous. Would that, you agree with that?
Who did Dr. Ora that we used?
No, Dr. Khan, Dr. Fuad Khan.
Oh.
Would that be Dr. Khan's assertion in your opinion?
I think he was.
Yeah, he said that. He said yesterday the only reason he took the vaccine is because it was mandatory to travel.
Right, but he also suggested one, it wasn't necessary. Herd immunity would have taken care of everybody, which I disagree with, given what was happening at the time. I don't know that herd immunity kicked in Italy or Spain when thousands and thousands were dying, and hospitals are overrun. Like herd immunity couldn't handle hospitals that were overrun in India, in Italy, in Spain. In New York, in the UK. Herd immunity didn't kick in at all. So I don't know what kind Paul nonsense is that. But if it is that he thinks it was unnecessary and may have been dangerous, why did you take it? Just to go and work?
Yeah. It was mandatory to travel at that time.
Yeah, but if it is what is so, is it that he thought the vaccine was, in addition to unnecessary, dangerous?
But Paul, there are people who were not taking the vaccine because of certain Christian beliefs. Some of them took it. I know of someone who took it when the crunch came and the opportunity to travel came, and you didn't have a choice.
Let me tell you something. I am of the firm belief that two things need to happen. One, an inquiry into how the state of Trinidad and Tobago handled the pandemic, so we can get a fact finding and learn from it. And two, just like the UK and parts of other countries around the world, some sort of global inquiry into what may have been the shortcomings of the vaccines created in such a short time. Because there are certainly side effects. Certainly side effects that have affected some people very devastatingly. In some cases, may have exacerbated existing conditions and caused death. Okay, nobody can tell me that shouldn't be done.
Yeah,
because they were not created in the same process or with the same length of time or the same rigor that normal vaccines are created under normal circumstances. And I understand the need for the emergency creation to stymie the progress of the virus, but nobody could tell me that the vaccines were foolproof and didn't do some damage too.
By the way, on Monday we interviewed Russian Parade, the member of parliament for Mayaru. You know, I go back online and check the programs and check the views and so on, right? Monday's program got a lot of views, right? Not too long after. The same afternoon I looked at it, and it had a lot more views than previous programs. Our program with Dr. Rowley still remains the highest viewed program. But Monday's program with Russian Parade skyrocketed that very same afternoon.
No surprise.
Yeah.
And he was very diplomatic about questions posed to him about whether he was challenging the leadership, whether he thought Mr. Pasabi Sessa was the right leader to take the party into governance when 2025 rolls around. He was very diplomatic about how he answered the question. He said the leadership needs to look at itself as a whole. The party needs to look at itself. But, you know, Rushton is astute.
Yeah.
So he understands that rocking the boat this far out can have deleterious consequences for him. I think he's already under a microscope within the party.
Yeah, but it was instructive that Larry Lala, senior counsel, was on, Ramona Ramdial was on, and Dr. Fuad Khan was also on that same day. You know, I understand he shared the program a lot too. But yeah, that's what you do. You get you because I think he was good on the show. You know?
He was very good. He's a very likable politician. He's one of the politicians that I think he's liked across the board. But very often, as you well know, Wendell, internal conflict is much more vitriolic than external political conflict.
Oh, yes.
So people look at political parties as a well-run oil machine. Yeah, they look like the reality, but a lot of infighting is taking place. And as I said to Rushton, and I asked of him very often, and Dr. Khan also, the PNM has a lot of conflict inside. You don't see it coming out, spilling out into the streets very often. You just don't.
Yeah.
They must have some mechanism that they deal with those things internally very effectively, or it just doesn't come outside like you see with other political parties.
Yeah, it doesn't get bitter and vitriolic.
Well, I don't know. I heard some bitterness already, but it doesn't get public. It could get very bitter, but it doesn't go public. Anyway, y'all have a wonderful day. It's Wednesday. Be safe. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. I think I'm going to break beach and go movies today or something. We'll see how it goes.
I started to watch Mia Culpa, Paul, and I fell asleep. I couldn't take it no more. I said, oh, no.
It was nonsense.
I take off my TV and I fall asleep.
It was nonsense. It was bad writing, bad acting, bad screenplay. It was bad.
Yeah.
Classic Tyler Perry.
Folks, have a wonderful day. Remember to let go and let God. Richard?
And what's completely opposite to Mea Culpa is Love is a Walk. This weekend at Zappa.
Is it opposite?
Which is highly entertaining and will rivet you in your seat. I'm telling you, there are some people who were jumping up and down in their seats. And I mean, they were almost weaving, weaving Like how you just wave flag in a soca fest. Some people going so. I mean, carried on. Oh my God, the audiences on Saturday and Sunday. I mean, the roars of laughter. I mean, this play has been phenomenal so far. And we are on in San Fernando this weekend. You should not miss it. Trust me. I mean, just go on RSR Productions Theatre page and you'll see all the comments of people who would have come over the weekend. I mean, everybody's had a wonderful time. And of course, we will be at Sapa on Saturday, 8:30, Sunday, 6:30. The box office at Sapa opens today, people, from 12 noon to 6 p.m. And of course, tickets available at K Squared, Fashion, City Center, and Girls City, Fans of Marabella by the Roundabout, and Creme Fresh and Brentwood Mall Chiconas. Have a fantastic day, whatever you do. And remember to smile and laugh. It's great for your health. Have a great one, people.
All right. And in some breaking international news, well, more U.S. news, Nikki Haley has dropped out of the